Good morning, zebras. Happy Monday to you. You're listening to the Zebra Morning Show on the Zebra Podcast Network. It is Monday, May 9th, 2022. It is a blue day here in Zebra Nation. My name is Mr. Nessie, and I am joined this morning by El Presidente.
Buenos dias, Mr. Nessie. How are you doing?
I am doing well. I am also joined by Adrian.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
And it is Maestro Monday. And today, this week, we are joined by the incomparable Mr. Berger from our fine visual and performing arts department.
Good morning, Zebra Nation. Thank you for having me.
It is great to have you here. We're going to have some questions for Mr. Berger in just a couple of minutes. But first, we've got some regular things that go on here on the Zebra Morning Show. And first up, we've got the weather.
We'll make it sweet. We'll make it short. Now here for you is the weather report.
Buenos dias, ladies and gentlemen. We are currently at 46 degrees, but do not worry. Do not fret. We will be at a high of 68 degrees. And also, Mr. Nessie, it's mostly going to be sunny.
Perfect. Do you have the weather on your little timeline at about 4 o'clock today?
4 o'clock. Oh, that's Clarkson in Georgia. Yes, I do. It will be 67 degrees, and it will still be sunny.
Perfect. I've got some plans this afternoon, which I will talk about later in the episode.
Ooh.
All right, gentlemen, announcements. Let's rock and roll.
All right. See announcements, everybody. Chess Club meets from 2:30 to 4 p.m. every Friday. Location room G302. Join our Google Classroom.
Speaking of G302, you know, there is a domino club in that same room. It's on Fridays from 2:30 to 3:45.
This week, student government election season rolls on. Today through Friday, May 13th, it's campaign week. So if you thought there were not enough flyers hanging up in the building, get ready to see flyers everywhere with people running for student government in student council and also for the different class councils. Next week on May 16th and 17th, we will have our student council elections for the 2022-2023 school year. And then next week also on May 18th and 19th, you will participate in your class council elections. For all the latest information, visit the student council website at nbstudentcouncil.com.
All right, folks. Prom is around the corner, and last chance to order your last chance to order your 2022 yearbook. Order online by May 16th. Only $50.
Capture those memories.
Yes. I completely butchered that.
And now sports.
And now sports. All right, Zebra sports fans, on Friday, May 6th, the boys volleyball team, they lost to J.P. Stevens 2-0. Sorry, guys. According to NJ.com, there were no athletic events on Saturday, which brings us to today. And again, according to NJ.com, the only athletic event on the schedule is softball, today hosting Highland Park at 4 p.m. behind the high school. And today for the Zebras, it is senior day for your Zebra softball team. Come on out and support the class of 2022 with pregame festivities and a ceremony at about 3:45. First pitch at 4 p.m. That's it for sports. Go Zebras!
Go Zebras indeed.
Oh, yes.
Indeed.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Speaking of zebras, we've got one of New Brunswick High School's finest educators here. Good morning once again to Mr. Berger. How are you doing, sir?
Pretty good. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you here. Again, the whole purpose of Maestro Monday is to bring in awesome faculty members like yourself. And let's be honest, we don't all know everybody that teaches and does amazing stuff here in the building.
No, we don't.
I know you. We've had some great conversations since you started here a couple years ago.
As a substitute.
As a sub, yes.
Yeah, that's how I started here.
Yes. We actually first met. You came in on September 11th
Yes.
to my classes, and you shared your story on that, and you jumped right in, and you have fit right in the many years that you've been here now. So I'm going to turn it over to Adrian and Julian so we can get to know Mr. Berger.
So, Mr. Berger, what inspired you to do the visual arts? Am I right?
Yeah. So I do teach graphic design here. My mom's an artist. I grew up. She was a portrait artist, a portrait painter, and the first few years of my life, my dad was in Vietnam, so just me and my mom.
Wow.
Some relatives. And I would just watch her paint all day. And I think I was like 3 years old when I got into her oil paints, which I never should have done. It was at that point that she gave me my first packet. It was like, paper and crayons or whatever else. And I've been drawing ever since. The arts has just always been part of my life. And the first professional piece, I think the first piece I sold, I was like 18. And it was a dragon. And it was all done in blues and silvers and whatnot. And someone said, "Hey, I'll give you $20, $25 for that piece." And I said, "Okay." And it was the first time I ever sold something. The first time I gave tons of art away, but it was the first time anyone ever offered to buy art. And it's been a long time since I did anything for $25, but that day still makes me smile. It was the first day someone said, "Hey, I think your art is worth having," and it's just been going ever since.
Interesting.
Okay. Very interesting. So my question is, what inspired you to teach here in the high school? What inspired you to teach here?
I've been teaching in one form or another for a lot of years. I've taught in a lot of different community programs. I've been a martial arts instructor. I've worked with kids since I was barely out of being a kid, to be honest with you. The idea to become a high school teacher, to be honest with you, and I do tell my kids all the time, you have no idea where your road is going to take you. 15 years ago, the idea of being a high school teacher was not on my grid. But I was in the middle of different career changes, things were going on, and my mother-in-law is a former educator, and she said, "Hey, have you heard of the alternate program?" And I said, "No, what's that?" And she's like, "Well, for people who already have college degrees and they've been out in the field or whatever, they can become teachers." And I was like, "I'll see." And a former professor of mine asked me to cover a STEM course through Passaic County Community College. And I had no training. I didn't know anything about teaching. And she's like, "No, you know what you're doing. It's okay." And I spent like 3 hours signing paperwork, and they're like, "All right, you start in 2 weeks." And I was like, "Start what in 2 weeks?" And they're like, "Teaching." And I was like, "Okay." And I went into this high school, to teach this class, and it was a disaster, straight up. It was an absolute, I was so unprepared to be in that room, it wasn't even funny. I was just kind of like, pushed in and, okay, do this, and it was a mess. But I still loved doing it. Like, and there was a tough talk. One of the teachers there, he's like, "Listen," he's like, I talked to him about a letter of recommendation. He's like, "I can't." He's like, your lessons were a mess. He's like, I can't put my name on anything you're doing." He's like, "But," he's like, "but I do believe you can learn." He's like, "It's not that you don't know your material." He's like, "You just have to learn how to teach this." And then the alternate program came around again, and I went into it. And Miss Neiman called me a couple of years later, this was like in 2017, and said, "Hey, I'm interested in having you come in and interview." And originally I didn't get the job. All right. But this part's important, though. It was a good interview, but they took someone with more experience over me at first. I'm like, okay, fine. But they did bring me in and interview as one of the district substitutes, and they kept me here because I was substituting in different districts at the time. And I was the ISS room. My first assignment here was a 30-day assignment for the ISS room, starting the first day of school. they're like,
I remember those days.
yeah, they're like, "Oh, you're going to be you're going to cover ISS." I said, "Well, when?" They're like, "Well, tomorrow, when school starts." I'm like, "What happened in your building?" Like, ISS on the first day. In fairness, I didn't have a quote-unquote customer till the first week, but yeah, and I was here for 2 months. They kept me off for a second month, and going into my third, Miss Neiman came in and said, "Hey, the person we hired, like things didn't work out. Are you still interested in teaching with us?" And at that time, I got to meet Mr. Nessie and a few other teachers, and even the students that were in ISS weren't really bad kids. They just went up, but they were just choices, you know. And I was like, you know, this is a pretty upbeat school, and I saw a lot of the artwork on the walls. And the principal at the time, Mr. Redler, was here, and you could see like he was very protective of the students, very big on the students. And I'm like, you know what, these are people, and I had interviewed with him too, and I was like, you know what, these are people that I could work for. I really like the energy in this place. And I interviewed again, and they hired me, and you know, and I've been here since I walked into the classroom for the first time December of 2017,
Nice.
and I've been here ever since.
It was a cold day.
It was a cold.
No, and again, you know, I've enjoyed knowing you for as long as you've been here. We've had great conversations. It's always nice to see you in the hallway. I wish we could see each other more, but you know, social studies and art don't seem to cross paths all that often. Weird.
They should, though.
They should.
They should. The world doesn't move. History doesn't move without art movements.
No,
I
art
mean,
is a part of culture, as Julian knows. We've had conversations about that for sure.
Absolutely.
Julian, what is this earth without art?
Nothing.
You have to write that down. That's a visual for those of you
Yes.
watching at home. Now, Mr. Berger, my question is, in the fine and visual and performing arts track here, what are the courses that you teach?
So currently I teach graphic design and commercial art and design. And in September, I'm teaching a new course called digital imaging. So we're putting a track together, a career technical education track, which is going to be digital imaging, commercial art and design, and then we're going to create a third level out of that. Graphic design, it's this huge umbrella term. It's really it's one of those things where it's just like it encompasses everything. It's visual communication at its most simplest. It's how to get an idea across using visuals. Even if you're putting words on a page, it's what kind of lettering you're using, what kind of attitude you're giving. It's the use of color to speak. It's taking a bunch of different languages and putting it all together. And whether it's going to be on paper or on a website or even on video, it's magnifying whatever message you're trying to put out.
Now, you alluded to fonts in this choice. I'm going to use the big boy words. What are your thoughts on Comic Sans?
All right, so the truth is, and I'm going to be really radical about this. I mean, it's more of a bandwagon thing to get rid of Comic Sans. Everything has its place, because for a long time I was using this font called Matura, which is this really like kind of brush script kind of font that was huge in like the early 90s. But you know what? If you're doing something that requires that kind of look, then you use it. You know, there are things that move in and out, and some things become outdated, and you keep your eyes on it. But I am definitely a person that believes in that you use the tool for the job. And if I were doing something that needed Comic Sans, which I have not in a really long time, but if I were to do something that needed Comic Sans, I would use Comic Sans.
Nice. And my last question before I let these two guys wrap it up. As a graphic designer and artist, are you Team GIF or Team GIF?
It is GIF. And we will not debate this any further.
There you go. I always tell kids, yes, it is GIF. And if you have a problem, we'll find the bike rack after school.
There you go.
Go ahead, boys. Wrap it up.
All right.
Let's take this home.
Shall we?
Yep.
I meant wrap it up with Mr. Berger first.
Oh.
I'm in the room.
Okay.
So what are your favorite hobbies to do after school?
I teach and train in martial arts. I run a practice up in Chatham where we are currently studying European swordsmanship. It's also known as colloquially as HEMA, Historic European Martial Arts, and I focus on the Italian traditions. My wife and I are also involved in dog rescue and animal rescue. We work with a group called Chiba Rescue of New Jersey. They're based out of South Jersey, and during the pandemic, we fostered a wonderful dog, and she came out of a really bad. They all come out of bad situations, but we found her a beautiful family, and she's doing wonderful. We get pictures from them all the time, and a few weeks ago, almost a month ago, we just adopted a second dog. Her name is Machiko. We have two dogs now.
Oh, that's
Machiko is a tripaw. She lost her leg to cancer.
Oh.
She had cancer. Her family her owners, will call them that. They dumped her into a shelter with pain meds, which meant she was not going to be there long. But they know our group, our rescue, so they contacted us, and we were able to save her life. We did have to get rid of take the leg away, but you know what? She ran out of she like hours after her surgery. She like trotted out of the vet, and she doesn't slow down. She jumps up on things. She's wonderful. So her and our other dog Yote, we have she's been really taking him out of his shell. He was another rescue that we brought in, and the two of them are great. They're bonded and they play, and it's a lot of fun.
That's lovely.
It's very rewarding.
So my other question is, what do you do for fun when you're not educating?
Besides working with dogs and fencing.
There's got to be more time outside of that.
There's a little more time. I mean, I love reading. I know it sounds boring, but I mean, I love reading, and I'm always sketching and drawing something and getting together with friends. I tell all my students I am a huge, enormous geek. I'm a proud geek. Every Friday we do an online. My wife and I are part of an online Dungeons and Dragons group. We've been playing for almost like 2 years now, like since the pandemic. That's
The same game, or
Yeah, no, same game.
Wow.
Honestly, I'm with you there. I've been playing a lot of games during the pandemic.
That's cool. And it's great. I mean, it's like, and it started off with like, let's just break things up a little bit. And, we've been gamers. My wife has been a gamer since she was like, a senior in high school and whatever else. So yeah, Friday nights are, all right, let's, up the swords and wands, everybody, and let's go.
roll the dice.
Roll the dice, and it's cool. So yeah.
All right, Mr. Berger, thank you so much for coming in today and being a part of Maestro Monday.
Yeah, I had a great time. Thank you very much.
All right, gentlemen, now you can put a bow on it.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Zebra Morning Show. Be sure to visit our website, zebrapodcastnetwork.com.
And follow us on social media. We're at Zebra Podcast Net on Twitter and Instagram.
If you can't listen live, make sure you follow us on Spotify. Visit zebrapodcastnetwork.com/Spotify.
We also have a YouTube channel, so don't forget to press the like, subscribe, and notification bell.
Have a great day, Zebras.
See you later.
See ya.
See you later, ladies. Bye-bye.